The Oregon Ducks absolutely sprinting through the finish line of their 2023-2024 campaign, throttling Liberty in a New Year's Six Bowl. Final score 45-6. Dan Lanning and company, like I just said, finishing the drill the way you would expect a Dan Lanning football team to finish the drill. Future is bright now. The future is bright. We'll take a look at this game, talk about what the future is in Eugene. We'll give you our thoughts here in just a second. Make sure you're subscribed, Oregon fans. We've had a lot of y'all get dialed in and hit that subscribe button with us here on this show, The Hard Count, on this platform, the On3 YouTube channel. If you have not yet subscribed, hey, it's a new year. New year, new you to get dialed into college football, to your Ducks, whatever it is, all the way through the line, just like this game. So make sure you're subscribed. Follow me on Twitter and on Instagram at JD Pickell. Want to hear from y'all. Want to hear your thoughts about this game and the future in Oregon. Those are the best platforms for us to hear from y'all. So this game, man, just an exclamation mark on an incredible season. When you take a step back and look at what Oregon did this year, 2 losses to the same team by a combined total of 6 points. Oh, by the way, that very team is in the college football playoff in the Washington Huskies. So, like, it's very difficult to find too many negatives in what happened this season. And what happened in this game, man, like, let's call a spade here. Let's not beat around the bush. Oregon had a superior roster by a fairly wide margin to Liberty. Kind of the facts. And they played that way. That's the most important part. They played that way in a game like this. We'll talk more about the motivation factor here in a second. But you look to the future, because that's kind of what bowl games are, right? They're sort of a launching pad into what the future could be for different teams. And, like, to be honest, I think the future of this roster still in a great place. At the time of us recording this, they have a top 5 class in the country when it comes to the 2024 class and the recruiting side of things. In the portal, you got not 1 but 2 of the top guys from the transfer portal. Dylan Gabriel for next season, who's playing a lot of football at a really high level, transferred from Oklahoma. And you got Dante Moore for the future of your football program, transferring over from UCLA, who Dante Moore, very highly touted cat when he came out of high school. So, like, the bottom line here is the roster is going to be great for a long time. The roster was superior, was the difference in a game like this. But people say, man, that character is revealed when nobody's watching. That's the exact same way I feel about bowl season. Who are you when maybe you have to generate your own juice a little bit, when you have to put something in front of your team and find something to play for? Because let's be real, man, there was every single reason in the book for Dan Lanning and Oregon to say, you know what, good year, boys. We didn't accomplish our goal of winning the Pac-12. We're not playing in the college football playoff. Listen, no shade to Liberty. I love Liberty. But if you're on the Oregon side of things, you're probably looking across the sideline and saying, man, it's not a Power 5 roster over there. It's not a Power 5 logo we're playing against. Do we really going to give this our undivided attention? Are we really going to approach this the way we need to win a football game? Speaks volumes to Dan Lanning, firing up the troops, giving them a one-track mind kind of focus, and to play the kind of game that they did. Because we've seen it many times now. A G5 team rolls in there, has their day, catches a Power 5 roster that might be the better roster, but they just don't have a ton of interest in playing in that bowl game, and the G5 team ends up winning. Obviously, Oregon made pretty quick work of that after the first quarter. Bo Nix is a great example of what this Oregon team and this Oregon culture is that Dan Lanning has built. Bo Nix got nothing left to prove, man. Played over 60 college football games. You think he's helping his NFL draft stock by playing 1 more game against a G5 school in a bowl game? You think that's going to help his draft stock? I don't know, maybe, maybe not. But you look at what he did in this game, and you look at the way that he finished. Again, I think it's a testament to Dan Lanning and the belief and the buy-in that he's built out there in Eugene. I don't think this is just a one-team kind of thing. I think it's going to stretch for years now as they move into the Big Ten. Now, why'd Bo Nix play? Again, I think it's a reflection of what Dan Lanning is preaching and the belief that Bo Nix has in the way that Dan Lanning does things. Because Dan Lanning is saying, listen, I love this. He said this on College Game Day. They asked him, hey, a lot of opt-outs. How do you get your team ready to play? He was saying a lot of opt-outs in regards to the college football world. A lot of people have a different gauge as to what bowl games mean right now. They asked Dan Lanning, how do you get your team ready to play in a world where opt-outs are prevalent across a lot of different teams? He said, you know, before there was all this, there was something called Little League football, and that's what our guys are doing here. They love to play the game. We're going to go play the game today. And they very obviously did that, and they did it in dominant fashion. So you pair the roster that they have that's set up for success like we just talked about, got the quarterbacks, they're recruiting at an elite level, and they elevate their guys too. Make no mistake about it now. Bo Nix, he was written off after his Auburn days. He just didn't write back when he got to Oregon. And I think Dan Lanning and the belief that he had in him and allowed him to probably generate within himself as well, I have to imagine. We saw a different Bo Nix from his Auburn days to his Oregon days. They pulled the best out of him. Tez Johnson, he was at Troy. He was good at Troy. He put up better numbers at Oregon at a higher level of competition than he ever did at Troy, pulling the best out of their guys. That's what they do at Oregon. I wholeheartedly believe that. That's why I feel really confident about them as they move into the Big Ten. The roster, the belief, and the way they get that next gear out of their players, they get that other 5-10% that maybe they couldn't have accessed in another organization. I think that's what makes them special. That's what makes them special. To me, that's what makes them dangerous. You got the talent on the roster and the culture and the structure and the character to maximize with what Dan Lanning has there. I'm just telling you now, this season for Oregon and for Dan Lanning, I don't think this is just a one-off. I think this is a trend now where they will be a team like this. Every single year you will have to deal with Oregon. Maybe they're not in the most talent-rich part of the United States. They're going to go out there and find their top guys. Like I just said, right now, a top 5 class in the country. Maybe they'll have some holes they got to fill year in and year out. They'll go to the portal, and they'll pitch what they've done with other portal guys now and be able to provide proof of concept and be able to fill those holes because of what they've done this year. So the future is extremely bright. Oregon handling business against Liberty 45-6, like we told you at the top of this segment. Dan Lanning, like we say on this shirt now, not a program, but a program in Eugene, Oregon. Make sure you're subscribed. Happy New Year. We love y'all. We appreciate y'all. We're going to keep this party rolling now. We will see y'all next time. Hey, y'all. Thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also, be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.